Okay, so Tottenham Hotspur looking for a new manager. There's also plenty of movement activity in the transfer market with that first bonus transfer window closing on Tuesday. Mark McAdam is back and we've got some new news.
Alejandro Garnacho's name has suddenly become the center of one of the most dramatic and talked about transfer sagas of the season, as Chelsea and Manchester United are locked in tense negotiations over the future of the Argentine starlet. For weeks, whispers had circulated that Chelsea were eyeing up a shock move for the 20-year-old winger, but now those whispers have turned into concrete talks, meetings, and proposals that have left the football world stunned. Garnacho, who has quickly risen to stardom at Old Trafford, is being courted by Chelsea in what could become one of the most controversial and high-profile transfers in recent Premier League memory. This is no longer idle speculation, it is a genuine battle of ambition, finance, and loyalty, and every step of the process is being closely scrutinized by fans, pundits, and insiders alike. At the heart of this developing saga is Chelsea's determination to reshape their attack. The club has spent heavily in recent seasons, recruiting youth and potential, but inconsistency in results has pushed the new ownership and management into seeking players who not only bring flair but also have the experience of performing under pressure in England's top flight. Garnacho perfectly fits that profile. Despite his age, he has already shown an ability to handle the biggest moments, scoring in crucial games and dazzling defenders with his pace, dribbling, and fearlessness. Chelsea view him not just as another signing, but as a potential talisman for a new era at Stamford Bridge. He embodies exactly what the club wants, a young, marketable star who can light up the pitch and instantly excite fans. Manchester United, however, are in no mood to let one of their brightest gems leave easily. For United, Garnacho is not only a key part of their present but also a cornerstone for their future. The club's hierarchy sees him as a player to build around, a future leader of the attack, and a figure capable of becoming a fan favorite for years to come. They extended his contract not long ago, tying him down with the intention of avoiding precisely this kind of transfer tussle. Yet Chelsea's sudden push, with reports of a massive offer being prepared, has unsettled the situation. Negotiations are tense because United do not want to lose him under any circumstances, but they also know that every player has a price, especially if the player himself expresses interest in a move. The role of Garnacho himself cannot be underestimated. Sources close to his camp suggest that he is flattered by Chelsea's interest, but not entirely convinced. On the one hand, he is deeply grateful to Manchester United for giving him the platform to rise, and his bond with the fans has grown rapidly. On the other hand, Chelsea's project, the promise of being at the heart of a rebuilt attack, and the opportunity to establish himself as the face of a new era in West London is tempting. His advisors are weighing the pros and cons carefully. They know that a move of this magnitude, from Manchester United to Chelsea, would not only be a sporting decision but also one that affects his reputation, relationships, and legacy. Chelsea's negotiators are pressing aggressively, offering figures that could exceed £70 million, according to some insiders, while also structuring add-ons and bonuses that reflect Garnacho's potential future achievements. United, however, are digging in their heels. They see the bid as disrespectful to the value Garnacho brings, both on and off the pitch. For them, the winger is not just another player, he represents the successful product of their youth development pipeline, a young star who excites Old Trafford every time he touches the ball. The United board, therefore, is resisting, pushing back with the stance that Garnacho is untouchable, at least for now. But in football, untouchable often means for the right price, and that is where Chelsea's persistence could pay off. Behind closed doors, the negotiations are described as tense but ongoing. Meetings have been held in London and over video calls, with representatives from both clubs exploring whether there is any middle ground. Chelsea's strategy appears to be to keep pushing the number higher, while also trying to use the player's camp as leverage. If Garnacho indicates even the slightest openness to a move, Chelsea can use that to argue that United risk losing an unhappy player in the future, which could drive his value down. United, meanwhile, are focused on convincing Garnacho and his team that Old Trafford is still the best place for him, emphasizing loyalty, development, and the chance to become a club icon. The tug of war is not just about money, it's about emotions, ambitions, and long-term visions. Fans from both sides have already begun weighing in on social media, making the negotiations even more dramatic. Chelsea fans are thrilled at the possibility, flooding timelines with mock UPS of Garnacho in a blue shirt and declaring that he could be the missing piece in their evolving puzzle. Manchester United supporters, by contrast, are furious, warning the club's ownership and board that selling Garnacho would be an unforgivable betrayal. They see him as their future, someone who embodies hope during what has been a turbulent period for the Red Devils. The emotional reactions highlight how high the stakes are in this saga. It is not just a transfer, it is a battle for pride, identity, and direction. Pundits and former players have also joined the debate. Some argue that Garnacho should stay loyal to United, pointing to his rapid development and the trust shown in him by the club. Others suggest that Chelsea's project could offer him more opportunities to shine, especially with their rebuild emphasizing youth and flair. Financial analysts, meanwhile, note that Chelsea's willingness to spend so heavily again could reignite debates about their transfer policy and long-term sustainability under FFP regulations. Every angle of this story has become fodder for discussion, making Garnacho the most talked about name of the transfer window. What complicates the negotiations further is timing. Chelsea want a deal done quickly, eager to integrate Garnacho into their plans before the season fully kicks into gear. Manchester United, however, know that dragging out the process could work in their favour, giving them more time to persuade the player and potentially scare Chelsea off with delays. The calendar, therefore, becomes part of the battle strategy. Every day of silence, every rumour, every report shifts the narrative slightly. Both sides are aware that perception matters just as much as the actual numbers on the table. Another layer to the story is the player's own ambitions beyond club football. Garnacho is an Argentine international, and with Copa America and future World Cups on the horizon, he is keen to ensure that his club environment allows him to develop consistently at the highest level. His national team advisors want him playing week in, week out, in a system that complements his style. They see both Manchester United and Chelsea as viable platforms, but they also know that constant change can sometimes stall development. Thus, while money and prestige matter, the footballing context is equally important in his decision-making process. Negotiations of this magnitude rarely move in straight lines. There are whispers that intermediaries are being used to test the waters quietly, sounding out the feasibility of add-ons, clauses, and even potential player swaps that could smooth the deal. Chelsea are exploring every possible avenue, from financial sweeteners to offering players who could interest United. United, however, remain focused on protecting their asset, and their leadership knows that caving too easily could set a dangerous precedent for other suitors of their young talents. For now, the official word is that talks are ongoing, and no agreement is imminent. Yet the fact that Chelsea have managed to open the door even slightly suggests that the saga is far from over. Every twist and turn will be followed breathlessly, and the closer the window gets to its end, the more pressure will build on both clubs. Chelsea's ambition is clear: they want Garnacho to be the jewel of their attack. Manchester United's stance is also clear, they do not want to lose him. The resolution of these competing desires will define whether the story ends in a record-breaking transfer or a reaffirmation of loyalty. If Garnacho stays, United fans will celebrate it as a victory of principle over money, a sign that the club can still keep its brightest stars despite external interest. If he leaves, Chelsea fans will hail it as the signing that proves their project is irresistible to even their fiercest rivals' future stars. Either way, the saga has already left its mark, shaping the narratives of both clubs and sparking debates across the football world. The next few days and weeks will determine the outcome, but for now, Alejandro Garnacho's name remains at the center of a storm that shows no sign of slowing down.